So today what I want to do is go over some of the challenges that you will face in affiliate marketing. The first of which being just basically understanding how affiliate marketing even works. And from that, how to actually get started. So there's this issue with a high moment of inertia, even once you have direction. How to handle lack of success and demotivation and the emotional roller coaster that affiliate marketing brings. How to deal with the financial complications of affiliate marketing, how to be consistent and persevere, and then how to actually work with other people and from there build a team and actually manage people, and then get to the final boss battle, as I call it in affiliate marketing, which is scaling and building competitive edges and moats around your campaigns and your business. But before that, it's important that you take a reality check. And that reality check is that affiliate marketing is hard. So there's a lot of information available on the internet, essentially pollutes it in general about a lot of topics, and affiliate marketing is no exception. Most of the people who you encounter on blogs and on forums, which I won't name any blogs or forums specifically, but a lot of the affiliate marketing information you find out there comes from people who don't understand affiliate marketing very well. They don't actually have that much experience, and they especially may not have much experience with paid traffic, which is the focus of this course. And at the end of the day, if affiliate marketing was easy, everyone would be doing it, but they don't. And the same goes for many things in life. If something was really, really easy, people would be doing it, people would be successful at it, and if there isn't many people successful at something, chances are it's because it's not easy. So make sure you internalize this and you realize this before you get too involved in affiliate marketing. Don't start with this mindset that things are going to be easy, and that this course or any course you buy or anything you try to solve with money is just going to make affiliate marketing that much easier. It is hard. Now that aside, that's rather negative. There are a lot of positive things in affiliate marketing which hopefully you'll take hold of as we get through the course. Now moving on to our first actual challenge that you'll face, and that's generally just understanding affiliate marketing. So there are many entities and parts that all interact together in affiliate marketing. It can be very, very hard to understand how these all fit together. So you've got things like traffic sources and tracking and affiliate networks and advertisers and so on. But hopefully already at the start of this course, I've kind of demystified those a little bit and shown you how these entities fit together, how you interact with them, and the objectives and perspectives from these various sources. So hopefully now and at the end of this course, understanding affiliate marketing won't be a challenge for you at all anymore. Now once you're through that understanding phase and you have a basic awareness and you actually want to start doing things, it can be very, very hard to actually get started. Like, what do you even do? Where the hell do you even start? There's so many choices, so many things to think about, and you can get a lot of analysis paralysis because you have too many questions. You might know how things fit together, and you understand the entities, but you have questions like, what networks do I work with? What offers should I use? What offers are good and what are working? Which work on what traffic sources? How do I make this offer profitable? And then you launch and you're like, why is this not working? And where have my clicks gone? What is this? What is that? Why isn't my affiliate manager responding? And then you get to bigger questions like, why did I get banned on Facebook? Why is my account down? So all of these questions will kind of cloud your mind, and they make it very, very difficult to actually get some sort of traction moving forward. Now, if you are in this stage and you actually are asking all these questions, chances are you've actually taken action. So good job on that. It's much better to be in that position than to be at the very beginning and have read a lot but not actually done anything. Most of the time people will just be like, oh my God, just take action. Because until you take action, you really can't learn anything. But questions aside, taking action aside, all of these questions are natural and all of them have answers. Some of them will be a bit more nebulous and harder to answer than others, but when you do get to this action phase and you start asking these questions, that's what we're here for. That's what the AMC is for. So you have people who can actually answer these questions. Then there's other places where you can get really useful information and really high quality information support, like the STM forum. in any case, it's up to you to seek out the answers to these questions rather than just leaving them unsolved. And I think a lot of that, like fundamentally, it comes down to education, right? So you have all of these questions and they can be solved by sitting down and committing yourself to some basic understanding and education of what leads to these problems, or what causes these things to happen, which gives you these questions you're trying to ask and you're trying to find answers to. And that education can be joining STM Forum and reading there to figure things out yourself, or asking other people. That is a part of education, actually just asking for help. So in terms of education, which I deem very, very important, think about this. How often do you throw your money at things without doing prior research? So to give you an example, if you're buying a new laptop, right, or a new camera, you probably spend hours Googling specifications and reviews and comparisons to find out what is the best value for money, what the features and benefits of various products and services. If you're staying in a hotel while traveling, chances are you go to TripAdvisor and you look at the top rated reviews, use Yelp for restaurants and so on. So affiliate marketing is no different. You should never do something in affiliate marketing and have questions and not actually seek answers through education. And if you focus on doing this, you'll find that you get better at problem solving. Your general understanding of everything affiliate marketing just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I guess the fundamental point I'm trying to get to here is that you should educate yourself and become better at problem solving and actually figuring out the answers to questions that actually have answers, rather than just leaving them open and unending. Now, that aside, you probably don't want me talking too much about education and things. I mean, I went to university for some time and I'm running a training course, so I'm a little bit biased. So moving on, lack of success and motivation. So, oh my word, will affiliate marketing be a roller coaster of emotions in terms of how successful things are for you, how failures affect you, your stress levels will go up and down. It can be a very roller coaster ride in terms of your state of mind. And this is kind of the same in entrepreneurship and affiliate marketing, building a business. Pretty much any area like that is fraught with stress, failure, and depression. And this isn't actually something which is talked about that much in the industry, like in the entrepreneurial industry and in the tech industry and in the marketing industry. But a lot of people who try affiliate marketing will be both, a lot of people who are successful and unsuccessful will suffer from a lot of stress and depression along that journey. And that's kind of natural. You have this roller coaster, and when you're at your high points, you're really elated. And at your low points, it can be so stressful that you don't sleep. And when you're losing money, it kind of adds another layer to the amount of stress that you feel. And most people find that losing money kind of stresses them out at a really primal level, because they associate money with their well-being and their quality of life. So it's important to realize this from the very, very beginning, that this path you have ahead is not going to be all rosy and just fun the entire time. You can be extremely motivated and think, yeah, this is going to be amazing, and you're really ambitious and you have a lot of drive and motivation to succeed. That's all fine, and I hope that you don't lose that. But do be aware it's not going to be a positive, you're not going to be in positive circumstances the entire time. 90% of your campaigns are probably going to fail. You are going to get situations where you make mistakes and you lose money because of it. You are going to get situations where someone else does something which loses you money, and then you're not able to get recompense from that. There's a lot of money related problems, and then there might be a lot of other things which stress you out as well. Just be aware that they are going to happen, they are going to come, and there's nothing wrong with being depressed and being stressed about these things. One of the main ways in which you will get stressed, I think, is this thing I call hustle unrewarded. And this is what I just alluded to before. So 9 out of 10 of your campaigns are going to show no promise and they're going to fail. You might invest a lot of time and effort into getting a campaign up or having some creative approach, and then it just bombs or it backfires or it gets completely disapproved and isn't even allowed. And that can be really, really stressful. And sometimes you'll do this for quite a while and there'll be no light at the end of the tunnel. It will seem like nothing is going right. And that's highly demotivating and depressing. And one of the problems, so I've kind of talked about this a lot, but that it's going to happen, but not about the consequences of it. So one of the critical problems that comes from being in a depressed state is that it leads to you making poor decisions. So you essentially bias the data that you're buying, and it becomes hard to remain objective when you see money disappearing, right? So you end up breaking your systems, your processes and rules and your checklists, the things that you have written down, the letter of the law. You end up breaking them out of fear of loss. And this isn't great. Basically, biasing your testing and your systems because of stress and your mindset changing is not great. And the cycle can compound and the failures can really become overwhelming, and that can lead you to just quitting. So in this sense, stay positive and objective. Try to do so at all times. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to think of your campaigns as you buying data. So when things go wrong and campaigns don't work and money goes down the drain, you're not losing money. You're exchanging that money for data. That's all you're doing. And that data can tell you two fundamental things: how to make more money or how to lose less money. So the real tragedy is if you buy data and you learn absolutely nothing from it. That can happen, like when your tracking breaks or something, or there's some technical error and you actually get no data. Now that's really depressing. I hate that. Try to avoid that as much as possible. There's like nothing you can do when that happens. But in general, yeah, try to think of it like a data buying approach. And when you can do that and you can kind of disconnect and step back from that money loss being a personal loss to your life savings or something, it becomes a lot easier to just stay positive. You can walk into your office and look at a campaign that lost $500 overnight, and your response, rather than being, oh my God, can be, oh, well, I bet we got a lot of data. So that's the better response to have. And I think at the end of the day, everyone has to kind of find their own way to push through this. There's no tricks or secrets to staying positive or to staying objective. It really depends on everyone, and everyone has their own way of coping with things. It's kind of like learning to ride a bike, right? When you start learning how to ride, your parents tell you you're going to fall off and you're probably going to get hurt, but you're going to have to push through it to actually figure it all out. And you, as the kid, you probably don't trust your parents and you don't believe them and you fall off the bike and you want to quit. But then looking back in retrospect, you just put an effort, you just kept trying, you kept crashing, and then eventually you could ride the bike fine. And now you don't forget. Now riding a bike is extremely easy to you, and you look back and you think, man, I was silly to think that was going to be that difficult. So on that note, I think it's very, very important to find a way to de-stress in these situations. It's really not great for any part of your life or for what you're doing to work in a depressing situation continuously. So try to find a way to actually get some enjoyment every day. Myself, I play computer games or video games, listen to music, go exercise. Sometimes I kind of get cabin fever and I immediately just want to get out of the house and go for a walk, even if it's just to get food to come back. Find something every day that lets you take some time to get rid of those, to push those stressful things to the side and just enjoy a little bit of happiness for a moment. This can have a profound effect on the human mind and on how you operate daily. So again, don't work continuously in a stressful situation. It just does not help. And there's a great video on happiness, and one of the key takeaways I took from this video, which you'll see linked here and I'll put in the resources, was the difference between happiness and pleasure, and how one is kind of a transient thing and the other is not. But I'll leave you to watch that video yourself. But at the end of the day, just enjoy the roller coaster that you're on and learn to deal with the highs and the lows. Now, finances are for sure going to be one of the most stressful things that you encounter. I know initially it was for me. The thing is, the moment something involves money, it's inherently stressful if it's a negative situation. Positive money, great. Negative money, really terrible across the board. So when you're first starting out, you should address a few things and be wary of a few things. First is, how much do you have that you can afford to lose? This is very important. You should not spend money that you can't afford to lose. So if spending that money is going to directly impact your quality of life or your livelihood, or even worse, the livelihood of the people that you are obligated to protect, like your children or your parents and things, or your spouse, like if it's going to affect someone else, be very, very careful with that. Don't invest money dangerously when it can have very, very dire consequences if things do go south. Now, make sure to pace out the money that you do have over about 8 weeks. The reason I say about 8 weeks is because it generally takes a while to actually get cash flow moving with networks. So one of the advantages of the 6-week challenge is that we have a partner network and we have an agreement with them to provide you with better cash flow terms so that things can get rolling and the ball can get rolling faster for you. So this is one advantage we provide, but in general, when you're starting out, cash flow with networks is just a never-ending struggle. So many of the networks you will see, the common networks you may be involved with, will have a minimum term of $1,000 in revenue per week to get weekly wires. Now, if you only have a few thousand, what typically happens is you manage to break through to 1,000 plus revenue, and then you push your AM and you say, okay, I've got enough money for weeklies. Can you get me on weeklies? And they say, yeah, we can do that. And then the next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when financing processes you, something might go wrong and they might not actually realize you meant to be on weeklies, and then you don't get that payment. But to continue qualifying for those weekly wires, you're now pushing to make 1,000 that week as well. And then at the start of the next week, you're sitting there waiting for your wire from week one, and then it doesn't come, and then you hit your AM up and something's gone wrong with financing. And now you've done 2 weeks at over 1,000 revenue, and you're in a third week, and you may potentially be 3,000 revenue down before you've actually got your first payment. And this is obviously a really irritating situation if you only have several $1,000s available to spend. If you have $20,000, then obviously this isn't going to matter much. But most people starting out only have several thousand that they're going to invest. So when you are in this situation, I seriously suggest you pace things out and take it slow. When something is doing well, you really want to hit it, but don't trust your network to. Well, you can kind of trust your network because as long as your relationship with them is good, but don't just trust that everything will always go right when it comes to money. Okay, that aside, the other point I wanted to mention was credit lines and loaned money. So one of the issues with credit cards, it's kind of like a knife edge. With credit cards, you get instant money that you can use for scaling campaigns or investing in campaigns, which is great. When you're scaling something that works, credit lines and credit cards can be very, very beneficial as long as you're very mindful of the risk there. But the main issue is spending of this money does not have an immediate impact on your finances, whereas savings would. So you can rack up a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 debt on a credit card, and the mindset is that I don't have to do anything about that debt for 30 days or 45 days, or it's even when I do have to do something about it, there's just interest that I have to pay, and I just have to keep paying that off. It's a very dangerous mindset to be in, and it can lead to you making decisions that aren't based on data very well. So you become less objective about the decisions because you don't have that immediate, consequential feeling when you lose that money or when you invest it poorly. So be careful of that as well. Now, cash flow aside, there is general chaos when it comes to everything fiscal and financial, at least for me. It's very crazy for me. So you end up having to track a lot of things like ad spend and expenses and revenue, which is completely separate to your actual campaign tracking, like your ad tracking. Now for me, tracking ad performance is easy. I like that. I understand that. It makes perfect sense. But when it comes to tracking how much I've spent at every single traffic source on certain campaigns, on various expenses and platforms, and how much I'm making and reconciling that every month, let's just say I would never enjoy being an accountant. Now, the best way I can suggest to manage this and to make your life a little bit easier is to get a separate credit card just for affiliate marketing, if that is possible, to use that as a funding source. So credit cards will generally be the primary funding source you use at traffic sources for campaigns, or perhaps PayPal linked to a credit card. Now, when I say a credit card, I don't mean go rack up a debt on a credit card or use that specifically for credit. Be aware that a credit card is, for most affiliate marketers, it's just a payment medium. So whatever the limit on your credit card is, it doesn't really matter if you just keep topping it up through your bank to keep it level. So it's not really there to provide you with money that you don't have. It's just there to act as a payment medium or gateway, which you then just push funds to. Kind of use it like that. For that, it's very convenient, especially when you can get multiple cards with multiple account numbers and kind of segregate everything across those accounts. You can also use something like Xero. Xero is awesome. It's a New Zealand-based company, so I have to recommend it. That aside, I do use it, and it's not because it's from New Zealand. But Xero is a great platform for generally tracking your finances, your bank accounts, your credit cards, using bank feeds, integrating with PayPal and things, to try and make things relatively automatic and rules-based to save you time. Now, when you get to higher amounts of monthly revenue, you can of course get a bookkeeper or get someone else to actually handle your finances and tracking of things, which is great. But don't invest in something like this until you're actually doing significant or substantial revenue. So maybe 10,000 in revenue a month at least. Make sure that the cost of this bookkeeper is justified by the amount of profit rather than revenue that you're bringing in, and how much time that bookkeeping costs you personally. Now, another thing I should mention are taxes and local laws. So every jurisdiction, every country around the world has different laws when it comes to taxation and company incorporation and things. Don't worry about this too much initially, but when you are doing volume and you are sort of scaling up operations, that would be the time to think about incorporation and local taxation laws and actually getting legal counsel and investing your money in that. If you ask any experienced affiliate marketer about legal issues, they will almost always recommend you talk to a local expert and pay for advice and for sound legal counsel in the specific country or location that you are. You can get guidance from the internet, but for goodness sake, do not base the way you handle your business and your taxation and your money on something you read on the internet. Get someone local who is a qualified lawyer or is qualified whatever, CPA, to give you advice on this. And one of the benefits of that is that if something does go wrong, you can say that you went to a legally qualified person, they gave you this advice, and if it was wrong, you're sorry, you'll fix it, but that wasn't your intention. And that's a much better position to be in if, say the IRD came knocking about something, you did this wrong, and they want to penalize you. You can just say, hey, I thought I was doing things by the book. So that's all I have to say about that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is consistency. So consistency is easily one of the most annoying and stressful issues that you are going to deal with. Now, when I mention consistency, what I mean is the volatility of everything in the affiliate marketing industry. So if you weren't aware of that, things are often volatile in the industry. Offers go up, offers go down, payouts go up, payouts go down, offers go down, then come back up. Traffic sources change, restrictions change, everything kind of changes, though the fundamentals stay the same. So what you might find is you launch a campaign on a specific traffic source and it works well, and then the next day it just bombs, and you're kind of like, why? This could be because of some inconsistency on the back end there. Or you could launch campaigns week after week, they work well, the next week they don't. You launch it on another traffic source, doesn't work at all. You put it in another country, doesn't work at all. It doesn't work in the morning, but it works in the afternoon. There are all sorts of inconsistencies, and generally you will never find, as much as you can build systems and processes, you will never find something that's foolproof. So you always have to deal with things not being consistent in terms of performance. It can be as simple as the click-through rate of an ad changing hour by hour in a day and just diving, and you kind of have no idea why it's doing that. Now, one of the most important things to take away from that is when something is working, milk it. So because of this inconsistency in the industry and the natural volatility, you should not be complacent. When you do have something that is working and is making you money and it's a sound investment in terms of scaling, scale it. Scale it hard. This is one of those times when you would need to be mindful of the fiscal issues with like financing and strategy with your cash flow and risk. But if something was working, was doing well, your affiliate manager said scale it, the quality is good, and everything kind of lined up, that's the time when you need to focus on making that work, because it's potentially not going to be there the next day. So working with teams and working with other people, there's various ways in which you may do this in your affiliate marketing career. One of the simplest cases is the mastermind or masterminds. And these are something we'll encourage in the Affiliate Mastery Challenge, but they're something we'll guide you with and help you with at a slightly later stage. So when you do masterminds, which FYI are just a small team of people working towards some common goal, there's various things that you should be mindful of. First of all, keep the group small, like 2 to 4 people is perfect. A 5, 6, 7 person mastermind is a terrible idea. Don't make masterminds that big. You need to think about delegating responsibilities and being mindful of people's skills. So ideally leverage people's skills as much as possible. So if one person is the best at this, have them do that. If one person is terrible at this, might not be the best idea for that to be a focus of their responsibilities. Another thing you should definitely be mindful of when you have a mastermind is uneven contributions and conflicts between people. So if you have someone who's dead weight and they're kind of like a leecher and they don't really contribute much, they don't actively say much, they sometimes miss meetings, if they're not contributing equally to everyone else, just kick them out. And you should make this rule or this condition very clear from the very start of a mastermind. Don't contribute, don't get to partake in the mastermind. And if you have conflicts between different people, it's probably not great for a mastermind. It's not ideal if people are actually arguing and conflicting too much in that. So a mastermind has to be a constructive, productive, small team of people with a specific focus and goal. And if it's not, change it, drop it, or get out of it. Now, joint ventures are another thing which you might do at a higher level. A joint venture is kind of like a collaboration, but I guess a joint venture involves more investment from both parties than a simple collaboration, which can just be very, very vague. So when you do have some sort of joint ventures where you work with someone and they provide something, like they bankroll a campaign, or you provide accounts for a campaign, or you both decide to do something together where you advertise their product but they pay for the advertising and you receive some commission. Whatever joint venture that you might get involved in, always ask, what's in it for you? And the what's in it for you should always be big enough or rewarding enough that it is worth your time. And don't let anyone, take you for a ride and devalue your time in that respect. And you should also think about balancing risk. So in this joint venture, what do you get out of it? Is it some money, or is it some access to certain technology or offers? Or are you learning from this joint venture? Whatever is happening there, compare it to the risks you are taking. If you are taking quite large risks, then you should, on the other side, be getting quite a lot out of it. When it comes to working with teams, either larger teams or building a team, that's just kind of a dynamic which I can't teach you that much about in terms of working in a team yourself. But building a team is something I can talk a little bit about. So I have a bit of experience with outsourcing and building a team. And I'll talk about this in another video later in the course rather than going over it in too much detail here, because we're talking about challenges. But a lot of people branch out into outsourcing relatively early in their affiliate marketing careers by a general business standard. So one of the things to be wary of or mindful of here is that you should always understand the basics before you outsource. So there's little point in hiring someone to make banners when you don't even know the recipe for a good banner. You don't know how to make a banner in Photoshop. You don't even know what good banners look like or what does well and what doesn't. In this situation, you should not outsource. And when you do start in affiliate marketing, you're initially going to be trading your time for money. It's a pretty simple exchange. And then when you get to a point where your time becomes worth X amount, and that X amount is now more than it costs to pay someone to do something else, it's outsourcing time. So for example, based on your earnings per month, your time is worth $15 per hour. And then you look at your banner creation process or your lander coding process, and you realize you could hire someone for $10 an hour to do that for you. At this point, they are actually costing you less in terms of opportunity cost and your value of time to do that for you. Now, there's a lot of things that you can outsource from the very beginning. For example, translations of ad copy. You're pretty much forced to actually outsource those. And there's various services you can use for that, which are relatively cheap. Managing and setting up servers or your tracking system is something you can have people do from the very beginning, because there's a certain amount of skill involved there that you can't really learn so easily from the very beginning. Now, in terms of challenges, I guess a lot of people, the biggest challenge is how to best go about outsourcing, how to find people to actually hire, and how to make sure they hire someone who's actually good, how to handle getting rid of someone if they're not that good, and so on. But again, I'm going to talk about this in a later video, so I will elaborate on that later in the course. And the last challenge I'd like to bring up to end off this discussion, the final boss battle, is scaling. So when you get to what we call scale, where you're running volume, there's certain things that happen, or as you try and scale, certain things happen. You need more cash flow. At the same time, you gain leverage with your affiliate network and the advertiser by bringing more volume and thus perceived value, or you are perceived as having more value from the advertisers and the network's perspective. At the same time, you absorb more risk because you're spending more, and that money is now no longer in your bank account, and you're just kind of waiting for it to come back to you and hoping that it is coming back. And then as you scale more and more, you get to traffic source nuances, where as you spend more, your return on investment and how the traffic actually performs fluctuates. It generally goes downhill rather than uphill, and that can be a challenge to actually deal with. But to be honest, you should probably care more about how much profit or risk-adjusted profit you make per day than purely the ROI. I would much rather spend $1,000 a day and make $300 on that than spend $200 a day and make $70 of that on that. The ROI is much higher in the second example, but in the first example, you're just making more, okay? And then as you're scaling, offers might get capped. There may be caps you already know about that you hit and now you can't send any more. And you're sitting there going, come on, I can make more money on this. That's another challenge you're going to face. If you have leverage, though, there's generally more that you can do there, and you can split test networks and so on, and you get more exposure. So as you scale up, you deliver more ads to more people, right? And this makes things more obvious to everyone. So anyone who's wanting to steal campaigns, or anyone who's wanting to spy on campaigns and use those as inspiration for things that they might want to do, they're more likely to actually see your campaigns, because statistically, you're just buying more of the actual market share of impressions. So as you scale, things can get more competitive, and it can get more difficult to ward off competitors who might want to imitate your landing pages, your banners, your angles, and your approach, and the way you're running an offer on a certain source. But when you get to scaling, if I'm honest, it's a challenge, of course, but it's a good problem and challenge to have. The fact that you have these issues with scale means, inherently that you are scaling things, which is great, because you wouldn't be scaling things if they weren't actually profitable. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video, just give you an overview of the things that you may be facing in the future. At the end of the day, it's all part of the game. It's all part of the business. No one said it was going to be easy. There's going to be challenges at almost every step of the way in many different areas. Some things you'll find a lot more challenging than others, but learn to enjoy it. Learn to enjoy the fact that you're encountering challenges, doing things that other people may never dream of doing, and that other people can't even comprehend. So you're making money on the internet, you're dealing with challenges like cash flow and credit cards and scaling and outbidding, competitors on various traffic sources so that you can push something from $50 a day to $100 a day. And to lay public and to most people who are working corporate jobs behind a desk, 9 to 5, to them, the fact that you're having those challenges in itself is just stupefying and really, really remarkable and amazing. So at all times, remember that having these challenges is really a cool experience, and it's one that's going to build you as a person, and it's going to leave you with a lot of skills that you can take to other areas of your life and other areas of business, like how to handle financial risk, like how to scale things, like how to use your leverage to negotiate things with advertisers. All of these kinds of things come about from the challenges that we face. So there's really a positive and negative to all of these things that are going to be in your future. But anyway, that's it for today. So I'll see you in the next video.